very warm welcome to you all. I welcome you all to the first lecture series we are holding as a part of Humanist Counseling Services. I'd like to inform you a little bit about Humanist Counseling Services. This is a new initiative, that we are starting, which will look at, several aspects related to counseling, mental health, personality development, and self-growth. One important focus here would be to enable students to understand themselves better and to make well-informed goals and to come up with very practical steps to achieve those goals. Apart from that, we'll also be looking at various emotional issues and personality-related problems that bother the youngsters these days. We also would be involved in conducting training programs and various psychological services for corporates, and we will also be extending counseling services to the general public in all domains of human mind and personality, which includes your various psychological disorders like anxiety, depression, stress, phobias, and also various kinds of relationship issues, sexual problems and difficulties, and various kinds of personality disorders. So for the first talk in the series, we have today Mr. Mukul Pathak, who of course does not need any introduction, and he has been involved in teaching and training students for a very long time. He is a huge star, huge name in the field. The students who have been trained by him have been doing extremely well. So I'll invite sir to just take over this.
Anything that starts with a clap sounds great and gives you a new sense of confidence. First of all, good morning friends, and a very warm welcome to you. Before I deliberate on the topic emotional intelligence, the gateway to success, where you will get to know that why is emotional intelligence so important in our life and what we can do when we possess this intelligence, I would like to thank Unamist for providing us this opportunity to have conversation with you. I say conversation because I don't believe in lecturing as such. We are here to share our experiences, and through these experiences we will try to make our lives more enriched. Now, as you know, the topic is emotional intelligence, the gateway to success. Why we all want to enter the gate? Because once we have entered the gate, there is no wait. That is why we want to enter the gate. And how can we enter every gate? The gateway to success. Answer lies by cultivating emotional intelligence. Now, what is emotional intelligence? We must have heard this term many times. Many of you may be informed also about what is emotional intelligence, because it is a combination of two words, emotions and intelligence. That is what emotional intelligence is. Very simply speaking, emotional intelligence is to use emotions in reasoning and to reason with emotions. To use emotions in reasoning and to reason with emotions. Now it seems strange, emotions and reasoning, because there has always been a conflict between the heart and the brain as suggested to us in the literature. But the fact is that heart can strengthen the brain and brain can help us understand our heart better. That is the new philosophy, and that is what we work on these days. When I say reason with emotions, example is very much there inside you. You have certain feelings, you do not know from where these feelings come. For example, many of you young people here might state, I do not know but I like the person. Now why do I like someone? You must know the reason behind why you like someone. If you have emotional intelligence, so you can you can know the reasons behind the generation of specific emotions. That if I possess certain feeling for certain person, why are those feelings present? And second is, I can use my emotions to further my reasoning. For example, if before the big event I am overly nervous, so needless to say, I will not be able to perform well. But at the same time, if I am too complacent, I have no shades of nervousness at all, then also I am not going to perform well. So to have that right kind of mix of emotions so that we can guide our decision making more effectively is what we call as to reason, to use emotions in reasoning. So this is in essence what is emotional intelligence. Now the question is, why do we need this intelligence in our life? Why do we need emotional intelligence in life? Because intelligence is not enough. And there are many intelligent people here, they know what is intelligence. Our friend will tell he seems to be very intelligent. What do you think, sir, is intelligence?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
So intelligence is like using your discretional powers of what is right or what is wrong.
What is right is and what is wrong is a matter of ethics, not intelligence. Intelligence in simple sense is the information processing ability of an individual. How do I process the information? And how do you process the information? Question comes next. She can tell us, yes ma'am, how do you process your information? It is everything is inside you. Now you have to bring it outside. Answer is simple, by symbolic manipulation. Question is, what are symbols? Symbols are images that we have inside. Symbols are the language that we have inside. Symbols are the concepts that we carry. So whenever I say that I am intelligent, it means my symbol manipulation probably is better than my neighbor. That is, on that grounds I can claim that I am intelligent, and this is the basis of intelligence. It is not difficult, sir, but the question is that can emotions make us intelligent, or do emotions make us intelligent? Now what are emotions? Many people say I am emotional, I am emotional, I am emotional. But they must also know what are emotions. Yes sir, he will tell us. There are some emotions running inside you, that is why you have a smiling face.
You think about something very, dearly. You get attached to something.
You get attached to something, that is emotion.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on it a bit? What do you get attached to?
For example, I like the tennis of Roger Federer, so I get emotionally attached when he do this.
Basic answer is emotions are feelings inside you. Now, what is the process of attachment? How do you get attached? Have you ever thought about it? Every attachment starts with arousal. When there is no energy, there is no action. So the process of attachment, how will it occur? Number one, it has to have arousal. Number two, apart from arousal, what? It has to be a kind of a personal experience. For attachment process, this is must. Number three, it should give you a sense of some kind of pleasure. For attachment, that is very important. Not necessarily always pleasure, because emotions have negative side also to them. But at least, if not pleasure, removal of pain. Agreed? These are the basis. Now basically what we want to say is that our emotions provide energy for our action. We need energy for every action. Even the so-called, the process of thinking requires the support of energy. So from where do we get this energy? We get this energy from emotions. And the problem is, people either oversupply energy or undersupply energy. They do not supply energy to the proportionate amount, and that is why our decision making gets clouded. We are today to deliberate on this idea, some practical tips that how can we make our emotions work in the direction of our betterment, not only academic betterment but also various other pursuits that we take in our life. That is what we have to delve upon. Yes, ma'am.
Are you implying that every action has a certain degree of emotion?
Every action. There is no action on this planet which is without emotion. Because every action requires energy. And energy supplies only from emotion. Now there are few actions which you might not be aware of what emotions are inside, because emotions can be held unconsciously. It is not like this that emotions are always a conscious story. So since they can be held unconsciously, so therefore, as I said, that I do not know, but I happen to like this activity more than that activity. Why do you say that? You say that principally because there are emotions present in your unconscious which compel you to be oriented towards a particular activity, but you do not know the explicit reason behind it. My question is very simple, that here are some practical tips for making our decision-making life actions better, so that we can find ourselves well adjusted, better adjusted in our environment. We have assembled here. What is it? An event. What do you need in life? To convert an event into an experience. We encounter many events in our life. We don't convert them into experience. What we need? To convert an event into experience. When an event becomes an experience, when that event becomes a source of learning for us, when an event will become a source of learning for us, automatic question, it will become source of learning for us when we are receptive, when we are open, when we are ready to assimilate and accommodate. So the first pledge that you should take in your life is that I will remain receptive all my years. All the years I live, I will remain receptive. Remember, focus should be on reception, not deception. Because people who receive are the people who do not deceive. We are engrossed in a great exercise of self-deception, because admission of truth can be a painful process. But remember, when you admit truth, ultimately you get relief. So therefore, it is better to strive at that homeostasis, for that homeostasis, that is equilibrium, as early as possible by accepting that, because that is first sign of growth. Our basic idea is this. Otherwise, what will happen? You go to one coaching class, it is an event. One teacher comes and speaks, it is an event. You go to another coaching class, it is an event. So event after events happen in your life, they never become experience. Because they never become experience, so they do not foster your growth, and you remain where you were. And then you wonder that what was the impact of the coaching on us? The idea was coaching did not have an impact. That is the first requirement for any exercise to be successful. Now the second very simple, effective method for making our life successful, which I can share with you, is that set realistic goals. Lot of us have a problem of unrealistic goal setting. Why do we set unrealistic goals? Simple. Mahatma Gandhi once said that nature has enough for human need but not enough for human greed. Greedy that we are, we expect more than what we can produce. And when we expect more than what we can produce, then we see ourselves as worthless failures. Because the goals are unrealistic, not based on our own self-assessment. And why is own self-assessment not possible? Because all life events that have happened have not turned into experiences. So see how the points are interrelated. I set realistic goals. I am successful. I get motivation. I set further realistic goals. I am again successful. What happens at the end of the day? That I am a person with high self-esteem. Otherwise, I will turn out to be a person with low self-esteem. The entire process operates like this. So the second basic principle is set realistic goals. The third thing which I suggest to you, which will make your life very meaningful, is to discover yourself. The problem is that the focus is what happens outside. We want to know others. ignore ourselves. Charity begins at home. Self-discovery is the key to new discoveries. Since we are not engrossed in the exercise of self-discovery, so what happens is that we continue to look to the outside forces, derive understanding of the events happening inside from outside, and as a result of that, what happens? That we are a disheartened soul at the end of the day. That is what our understanding is. Now my fourth point begins with this understanding of a question which our friend can answer. What does he fear?
Fear.
Do you fear anything, or you are a fearless man?
Yeah, I fear. You have fear. Like something negative will.
Some negative? Very clear knowledge, sir, we need to have. What does he fear? Ma'am, you will tell me. The things you fear make you anxious or not?
It does.
So what do you fear and what makes you anxious?
Fear of losing loved ones.
Fear of losing?
Family. Loved ones.
Loved ones. Fear of losing loved ones. So how do you respond to this fear?
I don't know. I become anxious just by the thought of it.
And how frequently do you have this fear?
Not so frequent.
Not so frequent. Actually, knowing your fear is very important. You know why? Because our fear decides the kinds of goals we seek. And eventually, the actions that you display are in line with the goals you seek. Now say for example, one has a fear of losing his loved ones. Question is, why does this fear emanate? Have you ever thought about it?
Maybe my dependence on them.
Absolutely correct, you are. That means you have done some self-discovery. She says that because of her dependence on them, there is this fear. Having fear is no problem, because fear is an emotion. Having fear is not a problem. But having fear which is disproportionate to the actual threat that is present is definitely a problem. Now the idea is that if we can know these emotions that we have inside, then probably we can make rational choices. For example, if you are paralyzed with this fear of the loss, probably outcome will be inaction. And if there is a being without action, it is of no use at all. Emotionally intelligent person is able to identify and produce the fears which are relevant to the occasion, the anxiety that is relevant to the occasion, and ultimately it results in the outcomes that are precise and objective. Now all life what we have been doing, only one thing, judgment. And whom we have judged? Others. Most of the time what is a problem in this judgment? That this judgment is based on some appraisals, some attributions which are based on unfounded grounds. So as a result of that, what happens? We run into trouble. An emotionally intelligent person is able to correctly appraise a given situation. He decides that when he concentrates on the figure, he knows that when he concentrates on the figure, he has to take cognizance of the ground. Most of us, enamored by the beauty of the figure, ignore the ground. And most of the important details about the figure are present in the ground. And when we take a decision based principally on figure, we end up making a poor decision. So our idea here is that you see, please don't allow your emotions to cloud your judgment regarding the background. Because background contains some vital information which can allow the figure which otherwise dominates your consciousness to be more precisely evaluated. Correct appraisal is the key to success in life. Correct appraisal will prevent us from various kinds of misattributions that we make. I will give you an example of this. The story goes like this, that a psychologist was or a physician was demonstrating to a group of alcoholics the perils of drinking. He put the worm in the alcohol, the worm died. One alcoholic remarked, "Sir, I have got my lesson. Alcohol helps us keep away the worms." Okay. So the basic idea is the appraisal. My idea is of appraisal. How do I appraise the situation? We have complete discretion to appraise the information the way we like. If appraisal is objective, we are likely to be successful. If our appraisal is based on informations which are incomplete, then it is quite likely that it may lead us to some kind of trouble. Yes, sir.
If person is able to read the decision properly, and that does mean that we will take a decision and can be able to execute the decision.
What if he takes the decision and is not able to execute the decision? Sir, if you are not able to execute your decision, then there will be a lot of bottled up emotions inside, I agree. But at least you have learnt a very important lesson. To correctly appraise the situation, there will always come a time when in future, because of your correct appraisal, you will be able to take a decision which holds you in good stead. And people will appreciate it, and further in time to come, they will invite you for decision making or seek your counsel. What else do you need to prop up your self-esteem? It itself is a very great achievement, sir. See, sir, I borrowed this from Robert Frost and present it in front of you, and that is that two roads diverged in a wood. I took the one that was less traveled by, and that made all the difference. So the basic idea is appraisal. To identify the road that is less traveled by, and to identify your potential to travel on that road. It is quite likely that if this happens, we are likely to be successful. Now the question is, what aids our correct appraisal? What aids our correct appraisal? How do I arrive at correct appraisal? The answer is not very far to seek. Correct appraisal principal requirement is that we must be able to, first of all, defer our judgment process till the time you collect all the facts, or at least most of the facts in a given process. Very important it is. Second is, look back into our memory for finding out that whether we have encountered the similar situations earlier, and if we have encountered them earlier, how did we go about decision making then? Take some kind of an advice from people who have been into similar situations and then take a decision. And number 4, must keep our emotions in check. Because what happens is that there are some situations in life which spark a lot of negative emotions. Say for example, let us take the case of road rage. You find that a fight over a parking slot, or that one person happened to overtake you, causes frustration to another person, resulting in the fight between the two and one losing his life. It is because we are being guided in the fit of emotions. It is because our appraisal mechanism is faulty. If a person says some bad thing to you, he has wasted his energy. If you can give a response back smiling, he will question whether his vocabulary base is sound or not. The basic idea is this: if you smile when a person uses some foul language, he starts questioning that what he has used, is it good words or bad words? So you have created an element of doubt in him or not? Answer is yes. Appraisal mechanism. Take civil services preparation also. It is all about appraisal. number of people who join the exercise of becoming civil servant and number of people who eventually end up becoming, there is a huge difference between the two. And this is principally because our appraisal mechanisms are faulty. For example, sir, I leave this question to you to decide, because all of you have been connected here and there with civil services at one point of time in your life. How many of us took into consideration this fact that 80% of civil services, 80% of success in civil services is guided by how effectively we can present our viewpoints, and for that we need control over language. So my first effort should have been to develop a sound control over language which we never bothered about. We have never bothered about that. We feel that, well, we will come to the classroom, the teacher will deliver, and there will be things on Indian polity, Indian economy, history, etc. And we will learn all those things and write the exam and become successful. That is not the case. Appraisal mechanism is faulty. How many of us have examined the level of discomfort our body can take? For example, civil services requires sustained study for 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 and 16 hours depending upon the level of madness you have. Agree or not? 16 hours is definite madness. 10 hours is more realistic basis. Now my question is this, that how many of us have ever got to know this, that see, my spine cannot take this load. I want to become the spine of the nation, but first I must get my back fixed. Otherwise, how can I become the spine? These are few things. They are the part of background. We focus on figure. I will go there. I have a sharp mind. I agree you have a sharp mind, but you need a sound body also. What will mind do? If only this is okay, all other things are gone. It is of no use. You will reach Mussoorie on a stretcher. Agreed or not? This is what we don't want, sir. Appraisal mechanism. For example, what are we victims of? We are victims of illusory correlation. Two persons sitting adjacent to each other, we consider them as friends. See, we jump into quick conclusions. Just because two people happen to smile at each other, it doesn't mean that they have profound understanding about each other. All these kind of illusory correlations we make because we are trained into being cause-effect individuals. I look into cause, I want an answer. This is the way we have been. And let me tell you, sir, please to discover yourself. You know why? Because each one of us, each one I am talking about, has a vocation to be someone. Each one has a vocation to be someone. And to fulfill your vocation, you must understand that you need to be one person, and that is yourself. If you are not yourself, you will not be able to identify your vocation. Even if you identify your vocation, you will not be able to do justice to your vocation if you are not yourself. And right from the time of my birth, that is the inception of socialization, I am in an exercise of not being myself. Because nowhere in our family we were encouraged to be ourselves. You became engineer because your father wanted, he could not do engineering, he was a polytechnic product. So you thought that the diploma that he had, now it is your bounden duty to make it a degree. Okay, you got the degree, but you are a third degree man. For the simple reason you are carrying on the burden of someone else. The cartoonist in you died in the process of becoming an engineer. That is how it is. I am not myself. In the school, there is a hierarchy. Outside school, there is a hierarchy. We are clearly told that it is not the originality in the profession that matters. It is the profession that is considered as good by people that matters. So next thing which I did successfully though was to let my creativity escape from my own self. I forgot to be original. And because I forgot to be original, therefore today I am a job seeker than a job provider. Because I am not original. Because I never had the confidence, this is what I said in Robert Frost poem, I never had confidence of being my own self. You have to be your own self, sir. Most important evaluations should come from inside. Unfortunately, they come from outside. And when they come from outside, you always continue to become what you are not. And when you become what you are not, you carry what we describe as unfinished business inside. We have lot of unfinished businesses inside. We are distressed because of these unfinished businesses. We are not having a sense of thrill, excitement, enjoyment in our life because of these unfinished businesses. So we must identify what are those unfinished businesses inside. They can be academic businesses, non-academic businesses, various kinds of businesses. We must identify those unfinished businesses inside and then finish them before we take up a new business. If you will allow these unfinished businesses to continue in your life, most relationships that you will arrive at would be the unhappy ones, because they will always be afflicted by this kind of unfinished business which is inside. Arjuna also had unfinished business. Mahabharata, the classic text, talks about the unfinished business. Only on counseling given by Shri Krishna, Arjuna could finish his business fortunately at the battlefield. And because he could finish business, Pandavas could finish Kauravas. But till the time he could not finish his business, he did not summon courage to fight the injustice. Unfinished business. Kunti, example of unfinished business. And Karna, a character who died because of the unfinished business. So Mahabharata is a classic text which gives us the idea about how human minds function. How various emotions like jealousy, greed, hatefulness, contempt, etc. are deciding factors in our life. These emotions continue to take control over us because we have not been able to finish business. So this is very, very important, sir, that discover yourself, be yourself, identify the unfinished business inside you, and go about finishing the business. Now, how do I finish the business? Very simple. Enjoy simple pleasures of life. For the pleasures which will never come our way, we wait. In the process, what? We ignore the simple pleasures which are there. As a result of that, we possess what? A very frustrated life. Very simple, finish business. Finish business by not being overcritical. And the best way to finish business is develop a thought process that is not guided in black and white terms. That is very important. Appreciate the shades of grey. We are absolutistic items. Absolute. Who are the people who cause distress to others? Those guided by perfectionist values. Some people here also, perfectionist values. They stand up in the front of the mirror, look at themselves, keep adjusting some finer details till the time 1 hour is wasted. I agree. To look beautiful, to look handsome, very important in our life. But for that handsomeness, don't forget to lend your hand to some needy people. Your own handsomeness is important, but more important is that you can lend your hand to someone who is needy. Why? Probably somewhere in the process of growing up, somebody told us that we are not so good looking. With that insecurity, I grew up. Now all my life, looks have become a dominant theme in my mental landscape. I try to finish that business by dressing up to perfection. As and when I am not able to do this, I am self-critical. I belittle myself. I have inherited a mechanism of discouragement. This is the way the life is. That is why I said in the beginning that don't allow others and their evaluations to bother you. There are many times in life, we are all people who fish for compliment. You know why? For the simple reason. Why do we fish for compliment? Why do we need compliment from others? Our sir will tell us, yes sir. One behind you, the gentleman behind you.
Feel better.
Feel better. Why can't you feel better through self-suggestion? Can you tell me this? You have your own mouth and you have your own ears. Through your mouth you can have something which is dear in your ear.
I do that.
Sir, faith. We devalue ourselves. ये reason sir आज बता रहा हूँ आपको बात बताने के साथ. We devalue others. Trust is the key to success in life. And trust is what we can only develop when we have had trustful experiences in our lives. We can develop trust only when we have trustful experiences in our lives. We have been the victim of what? Sir, very simple explanation, probably will help you define your life. Understand this way. I am born. I am born as a helpless individual. I am dependent on others. Being born as a helpless individual, what is my ultimate goal in life? To move from the state of minus to plus. What I have inherited since birth, a feeling of inferiority. What is my march towards? I am marching towards superiority. How do I complete this march? Number one, through self-improvement. Number two, by devaluation of others. दो ही तरीके सर जिंदगी में. This is someone's line, I make my line longer. This is someone's line, I am trying to make it shorter. Either you make your line longer or reduce the line of others. Making your line longer requires what? Confidence in yourself, effort, energy, commitment, sincerity, time-taking process, periods of frustration that we don't want. This is easier. Assassinate other person's character. It will become shorter. So the idea is what?
Very true.
Assassinating others is an easier process. All you need is a desi katta. Countryman with a gun. Agreed or not? What I want to increase the size of my life. Effortful process. That is what I strive for. Now what happens? See further. Self-improvement and devaluation of others. Why do people generally not strive for self-improvement? Question is this. Because for self-improvement to happen, they must get from their environment unconditional positive regard. This is what they need. They must get from their environment empathy. That is what is needed. That is what is needed. Empathy and unconditional positive regard. This generally you don't receive. As I said, each one has a desire to be acknowledged by others, a desire for regard by others. This is a natural human desire to be regarded by others. Now what happens is that we have this regard, we have this desire to be regarded by others. We don't get that regard. We should get unconditional positive regard, but what we get is the conditional positive regard. Un gets removed from condition. And when you get conditional positive regard, so what do? The locus of control, which should be internal, becomes external. Locus of control means that when I decide things for myself on my own, it is internal. When I allow other people to decide for me, it is external. My locus of control from internal turned external, हमें वापस उसको internal में लाना है. We have to bring that control back to internal. It has turned into external. Why? It has turned into external because I received conditional positive regard in my life. Example simple. Your father appreciated your performance when you stood first. Unfortunately, there are other students also wanted to become first. So in the first class you were first, but in second class you were second. And then your father called you not as worthy as you were in your first class. Conditional regard comes. It should be unconditional. He should salute your effort, but he does not salute your effort. He salutes the outcome. He salutes the outcome. You understand that it is the rank that matters. It is not the effort that matters. So all life, what? I wanted to be a ranker. That's how it is. The things have turned what? The things have turned conditional. The things should have been unconditional. The problem is this. And once I know that world recognizes only success, and success is decided by the position we occupy, the rank we hold. So what? I become further insecure. And when I become insecure, what is my reaction? My reaction is not that much to work for self-improvement as to work for the lowering of the performance of others. And the outcome is what, sir? The outcome is a lose-lose equation rather than a win-win game. Since most of us are engrossed in this lose-lose exercise, sir, that is why we feel very happy when we pass the exam, but our happiness mounts when our friend tells that he has failed in the exam. Although his failure has got nothing to do with your success, but you feel very happy that he did not join you in Mussoorie. You feel happy about it because you find that your sense of success has become a bit diluted or is not as exclusive as it would have been if it would have been alone. That is what our attitude is, sir. Now you can understand this way. I say we cannot change our surroundings by much. But what we can definitely do is that we can make sure that we socialize with individuals who offer us some kind of unconditional behavior so that we can continue to work in the direction of self-improvement, not allow our inferiority to overpower us. You can have a real taste of what we have stated in the form of following interaction that I will have with our gentleman here. Yes, sir. Sir, please.
Yes, sir.
You tell me, sir, what have been the major highlights of your life?
Sir, major highlights, my clearing AIEEE during college. And then before that, birth of my second sister. After that, my first job. Then making UPS in Bangalore. And before that, my sister clearing MBBS. And then later clearing PG. These are the highlights.
Only academic highlights, non-academic, no highlights at all.
Sir, family events I told you.
Look, for family is a very generic term. I want your highlight. For example, sister joining is vicarious pleasure. You performing is direct pleasure. When I say your highlights, it would be better that we describe them in less relational and more self-driven terms.
Sir, mostly academic only. Apart from that, no personal highlights.
Okay. What have been your major disappointments? If you can share some of them, or if you want to share some of them.
So major disappointment has been this time I'm not able to clear the exam. Apart from that, no major disappointment.
No major disappointment. That means excellent childhood, excellent adolescence.
So the amount of effort I put in, उसके हिसाब से result मिले. So this time I gave some extra effort, so that's why I'm disappointed. Otherwise जितना effort डाला उस हिसाब से.
And what do you think? What is your opinion that have you been able to utilize your time very well in your life or not?
So in college waste कर दिया 2-3 साल. 4 ऐसे. बाकी तो ठीक ही निकला.
जो 3 साल आप कह रहे हो मैंने कॉलेज में इतना बढ़िया इस्तेमाल नहीं किया समय का, वो 3 साल किया क्या?
थोड़ी बहुत पढ़ाई कर ली थी. उसमें टाइम निकल गया.
नॉन एकेडमिक पढ़ाई या एकेडमिक पढ़ाई? क्योंकि पढ़ाई भी कई प्रकार की होती है ना. एकेडमिक थी पर मेन लाइन की नहीं थी. देखिए sir, why I asked this question was in order to tell you this, that today examination has a foremost priority in your mind. And that is why when you describe your success and failure in life, you describe principally in the academic terms. But let me tell you sir, this is where the problem is in our life. We describe our life mostly in the categorical or the empirical terms. In other words, the material terms. But interestingly sir, major sources of satisfaction do not lie in material terms. Whenever we talk of emotional intelligence and connected terms, spiritual intelligence, we describe our life not simply in material terms, we should also describe our life in non-material terms as well. For example, he could have spoken about certain values that he possesses. Say for example, values of diligence, commitment, which of course gets reflected in his academic performance. But diligence and commitment and sincerity cannot just be described only in academic terms. Because if I am working hard for a specific purpose only, then I am doing commerce. मैं व्यापारी हूँ और जब तक मैं सौदेबाजी करता रहूँगा, जब तक मैं सौदागर रहूँगा, सुकून की प्राप्ति नहीं होगी. Till the time I run my life on commercial terms, I become a commercial entity. That is what I wanted to describe. Conditional regard. Let us free ourselves from conditions. Let us move beyond specific conditions. Once we move beyond conditions, we become unconditional. And that is what we strive for. That is what our understanding is. Sir, got the point? Because how a person describes himself is an indication of what happens in his mental landscape. When I say that this is what they look for in interview as well, that if they ask you a question and the parameters that you use to answer those questions is very limited, so that means that you are not a man with far horizons. When I say man with far horizons, it means that, see, while academic self is a dominant thing in your mental infrastructure right now, but the fact is that that academic self cannot be the sole criterion in judgment of success and failure in life. For example, if you would have said that I have been able to use my time very judiciously, or for that matter that I have got certain values like, for example, truthfulness and honesty, which I could demonstrate in all my life enterprises, whatever I mean a person has. So it would have been a more objective self-assessment. Our self-assessment is poor. Why? Because again, certain emotions have started dominating. The fear of, now our friend has been in the job, so that means that he was not only a successful person in economic terms, but also in social terms, because he said in the job I enjoyed good interpersonal relationships also. So what I want to say is that if these are the things, that means that he has got further more insecurity inside, because from the state of being successfully and gainfully employed, today he is on the throes of unemployment and he does not know what will happen next. Agreed or not, sir? These are the things. It is about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence allows us to address these insecurities, these inferiorities in an effective manner, and therefore help us emerge as a more complete individuals. That is why we have spoken about emotional intelligence. Now just describing to you what actually emotional intelligence consists of, these are the things it consists of, and these are the things you also need to develop in order to improve your emotional intelligence. It consists of following things. Ability to understand emotions. That you understand your emotions. Very difficult thing. You know why? Because emotions are abstract. Whenever you are placed before a big event, there are many emotions inside you. But you only experience one thing: restlessness, arousal, etc. Fear, anxiety, and even optimism may be inside you. So we must be able to understand our emotions. But because they are abstract, therefore understanding difficult. Because they may be unconscious also, therefore understanding difficult. Unconscious is which is outside our awareness. Second, ability to identify emotions. You must know how is fear different from anxiety. Do you know how is fear different from anxiety? You must have experienced both emotions. वो सर बताओ आप. Fear आप जानते हो, डर, एंजाइटी भी आप जानते हो, तनाव. अब आप बताओ कहाँ पर है खिंचाव? आप बताओ. How are the two different? कि एक ही लगता है आपको.
थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है डेफिनेटली. फॉर एग्जांपल किसी एग्जाम की बात कर लेते हैं. फियर ये है कि शायद हम नहीं निकाल पाए, और जो पूरा का पूरा प्रोसेस है पता नहीं निकलेगा नहीं, ये एंजाइटी है. फियर सॉर्ट ऑफ आउटकम से चीज़ें कि पता नहीं निकलेगा या नहीं निकलेगा.
एग्जाम उत्तीर्ण होगा या नहीं, ये एंजाइटी है,
ये फियर है.
ये फियर है.
ये fear है.
और
पूरा प्रोसेस है वो एंजाइटी है मेरे लिए.
तो आप कह रहे हो फियर आउटकम और एंजाइटी प्रोसेस है.
शायद, नॉट श्योर.
कोई बात नहीं, ये तो होता ही है. Many things inside the body we have, but we do not know where they are. आइए आप बता सकते हो सर कुछ?
सर जब फियर आता है तो बेली के आसपास सेंसेशन आती है.
दिल्ली के आसपास सेंसेशन आती है. जब फियर आता है तो आप बेली डांस करते हो। कोई बात नहीं, बहुत ही अच्छी बात आप बोल रहे हो। फॉर्चुनेटली यू नॉट टेकन द थिंग्स डाउनवर्ड। ओके, बेली के आसपास सेंसेशन आता है।
I'm just talking about the body management.
हाँ कोई बात नहीं, नो प्रॉब्लम।
जब एंग्जाइटी आती है तो हेडेक्स वगैरह ये सब कॉज करती है।
एंग्जाइटी आती है तो चीज और ऊपर जाती है और हेडेक होता है। ये तो बड़ा सेंसेशनल आंसर है। जब फियर आता है तो पेट के आसपास कुछ होता है, और जब एंग्जाइटी आती है तो हवा का रुख थोड़ा ऊपर हो जाता है और हमारे सर में दर्द होता है। इसी प्रसंग को आगे बढ़ाते हुए, अगर मेरे बैक में दर्द नहीं होगा तो ये क्या चीज है?
मुझे नहीं पता सर।
इसको मैं बताता हूँ सर, नो टेंशन एट ऑल। देखिए दर्द तो बेटा कहीं भी हो सकता है, इसका कोई रिलेशन नहीं है। दिल्ली में होगा या वहाँ होगा, कोई ऐसी बात नहीं है। इट इज नॉट रिलेटेड टू एनी स्पेसिफिक लोकेशन। दर्द तो बेटा वहाँ होगा जहाँ पर कमजोरी है। ये एक बॉडी का नियम है, आपको पता है। दिस इज द एडवांस कॉन्सेप्ट। ये तो बड़ा सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट है लाइफ का। मैं बताता हूँ आपको, द वीकेस्ट लिंक इन द चेन goes off first whenever the arousal is caused. We have a chain of organs. कुछ कमजोर है, कुछ शक्तिवान है, ये सब पैदाइश है। जहां पर कमजोरी है वहां कड़ी टूटती है। तो इसका कोई लेना देना नहीं है कि एंजाइटी ऊपर उठ गई, फियर पेट में रह गया और जो है सर डेंजर जो है नीचे हो गया। ऐसा कोई रिलेशन नहीं है। मैं बताता हूँ सर आपको, फियर जो है सर और एंजाइटी के पीछे एक ही चीज है, अराउजल। अराउजल है। देखिए सर, मैरिज सेरेमनी क्रिएट्स पॉजिटिव इमोशंस एंड व्हेन यू अनफॉर्चुनेटली अटेंड समवन्स फ्यूनरल सेरेमनी, इट क्रिएट्स नेगेटिव इमोशन। अराउजल इज द सेम। जो शादी जब आपकी हो रही है या किसी और की हो रही है जिसको आप अटेंड कर रहे हैं, उस समय जो आपकी स्थिति है और जो फ्यूनरल में है सर, वो सेम है। बॉडी भी अराउजल है, लेकिन एक जगह अराउजल को हमने पॉजिटिव कलर दिया तो पॉजिटिव इमोशन हो गया। देखिए सर, यही समझा रहा हूं मैं आपको, कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है लाइफ को, कितना आसान है करना नेगेटिव को पॉजिटिव। और when you gave it a negative color, it became negative emotion. So means what? Arousal and emotion has a connecting link in appraisal. It has connecting link in appraisal. How I appraise a given situation will decide what kind of emotions will be generated. We started our lecture by saying, let us convert event into experience. Event is causing you arousal. When event happens, arousal is caused. Now, how do you appraise the situation will decide what kind of experience you will have. You can give it a positive color, positive emotion, negative color, negative emotion. So that means I pass in the examination, still I might be distressed. You know why? Because I expected rank in top 10, I got 11th rank. I feel I am a worthless man. It could not be happen in top 10. Negative sir. देखा ना आपने, अप्रेजल है। For other person who has got 1000 rank, who never expected any rank, result comes arousal inside him also. For him it is a positive experience. Therefore life is all about appraisal. So it does not matter sir whether you in final terms have failed in the exam or passed in the exam. It is about the kind of appraisal you make of the given situation. That will decide the level of positivity or the negativity you will generate. This is what our understanding is. When I say I understand emotions, I identify emotions, means that I can know what are the emotions inside me And what are the more importantly emotions inside you? Because remember, what I am going to tell you is very, very important after this. Because that defines the kind of interaction we have with the people around and how you can become a successful communicator always. Understand and identify emotion in oneself and others. And apart from this, the third important thing here is, what an emotionally intelligent person does? He is able to use emotions in thought. Use emotions in thought means utilize emotions to arrive at great decisions. And manage and regulate emotions. Manage and regulate emotions. Now, once you have done this, all four things have been achieved. Once all four things have been achieved, how do you become an excellent communicator? I will just tell you. You can use it in your life also in a very successful way. Manage and regulate emotions means I don't get easily flustered. I can regulate my emotions. Use emotions in thought means I can utilize my emotions to facilitate my thinking. समझ लो बात जी? मैंने बोला आपसे, before the big exam, I am worried, I am fearful. It propels me to work, pick up the book again and do another revision. Before the examination, I am again tensed. I am tensed to an extent that paralysis of action happens. I lie down on the bed, could not sleep entire night and slept during the time of the exam. In one case, our thought process is being adversely affected. In another case, it has been positively affected. Understand emotions, that I understand what are the feelings inside me. A teacher need not ask his students that how was his lecture. It is apparent in the body language of the students that how the lecture has been. You understand your emotions, you understand emotions of other better. And fourth, identify emotions. I must know which emotion is currently inside me. See, what brings two people close? After all, what is the main aim of our life? The main aim of our life is to seek closeness with people whom we find as desirable and attractive. And civil services examination is also a quest towards that closeness only. Basically, it is like this. Now, when we want closeness with people whom we regard as desirable, attractive, etc., how can we do that? Two people can come together only through one way, and that is through communication. Because you can develop your body in the gym, but if the great body, when it speaks, gives an impression of a very poor man, it is a great disappointment. That way, a person with a fragile body who is a glib talker will have a greater impact than with a great body and no delivery. Because great body has increased expectations. Now when he opens his mouth and you discover such pathetic person he is, so you are disappointed. The basic idea is this. Now, my suggestion, very simple, straightforward and effective for you is how to make ourselves always successful in the process of our communication. I will describe you this and how an emotionally intelligent person is able to do this. You see it in this way, sir. Whenever you converse with anyone, sir, anyone which you converse with, suppose this is the individual. This individual that you converse with, has certain area which is called as his zone of acceptance. For example, if you call someone as a tiger, He is the tiger of our colony. He feels happy. You call him, you change the animal. You call him dog. He is upset. Although dog is very faithful animal, still has not that much respect in the market as the tiger has. You can be called as dog, but still not feel upset. If I add a prefix watch, he is the watchdog of our colony. Means he is a very alert and responsive person. Let us now make the dog suffix. He is the dog who watches in our colony. Person is devastated. देखिए शब्दों का ये फेर है. कुछ पहले लग गए, कुछ बात को लग गए, मतलब बदल गया. देखो you call someone tiger, he says क्या बात बोल रही है. You call someone as a watchdog, बर्दाश्त कर लूँगा. You call someone as dog who watches, गला पकड़ लूँगा. 3 अलग अलग रिएक्शन हुए ना सर. जिंदगी यही है कि we make sure if I speak what you do not accept, okay, or at least not accept, better, you do not agree with. If I speak something you don't agree with, but I make sure that what I speak falls in your zone of acceptance. Every person has some zone of acceptance. So what will happen? You will at least pay attention to it. Whether you will assimilate it or not, that would be decided later. But the first point is attention. And you will at least pay attention to it. So that means that by providing certain phrases, sentences, etc. in a particular manner which are in congruence with your cultural requirements, I make sure that what I speak falls in your zone of acceptance so that at least you pay attention to it. Because sir, I may say great things, but if they fail to fall in your zone of acceptance, you will not attend to them, and since you will not attend to them, the idea of their acceptance does not arise. For example, Copernicus was right when he says that it is the earth that revolves around the sun rather than sun revolving around the earth. But it was not falling in the zone of acceptance of people. So even when he was saying the fundamental truth, yet he was haunted, he was harassed. Agreed, sir? The idea is this. What probably Copernicus failed was to package his ideas in a manner that seemed to be agreeable to the individuals around him. That we need. Because you can understand, sir, being the individuals who inhabit Mother Earth, okay, we wanted the glory of the thing that we inhabit. So therefore, the idea of earth revolving around sun was something which was not acceptable to us. It is all about packaging, sir. Likewise, sir, around us there is another zone which is zone of indifference. Indifference. Indifference you mean, indifference you understand, is where the things do not matter to us. So whenever some information falls in the zone of indifference, it draws no reaction from the individual. It draws no reaction from the individual. For example, if I ask you about the changes that are happening at the high school level, you are not interested. Because your current understanding is towards civil services, not anything else. And then there is a huge zone around us. Zone of rejection. This zone of rejection, if I place an information here, it is surely going to be, sir, thrown out of the system. We will not comply with that information. It is something which will not accept. This is zone of rejection. Interesting thing is, this is a position of individual, this is zone of acceptance, and this is zone of rejection. See, the distance is not huge. The difference between the two, there is one which falls in rejection and one which falls in acceptance, is not large. but in one case the chances of assimilation are still present, in other case they are ruled out. If you are a person who is emotionally intelligent, you will understand this, that if you package your information with a bit of humor, and only after creating good mood in your audience, probably the zone of acceptance of audience that time would be larger. So even if you say some discrepant information, even if you present some discrepant information, they are likely to consider it. So put them in a good mood before presenting it. Most teachers don't understand that by frightening the students, they will not seek the attention of the student. This is very tough. You will not understand it. So please pay attention. अरे पहले कह दिया you will not understand it, आधे तो कह रहे हमें पहले ही समझ में नहीं आ रहा था, अब तो बिल्कुल नहीं आएगा. देखिए साहब, ये तरीका ही गलत है. अरे आप तो बोलो this is very easy. It is easy to understand. All I need is 2-3 minutes of your concentration and it will be through. Why are you creating negative emotions in the audience? Why? Sir, it is all the game of insecurity. I am an insecure speaker. You are an insecure audience. I feel that creating further insecurity in you will allow me to control you. The life is all about control. I must understand this and you must understand that. And that is that if we can control ourselves, we can control people around us. Information falling in zone of acceptance, information falling in zone of rejection, you make sure that all information which you present to your audience falls in the zone of acceptance, and one way of doing it is by making sure that you present information in a pleasant manner with cultural congruence. Impact means that the examples used should be culturally congruent to the people, and the words, phrases and sentences used based on your emotional intelligence and the judgment of the emotional intelligence level of your audience should be such that it should be acceptable to them. This is what emotional intelligence allows us, sir. If you have, sir, any questions you can ask about whatever we have discussed.
What about situations where someone needs to assert their authority? For example, an army general talking to his soldiers.
Very good question. If an army general has to talk to soldiers and assert his authority on them, what he can do is that he can understand that a very strong dose of fear is not useful, but a mild dose of fear does help. So he will create this fear appeal that enemy is standing in front of us. In no time we will be attacked. So let us act quickly. So this way he will ensure that it falls into zone of acceptance. But the point is, sir, if you will always use one mechanism, always, it will turn out to be an ineffective one. So you need to be very versatile in the choice of the mechanisms that you use. Any other questions? If you have, you ask. Otherwise, for today we have spoken what we wanted to speak.
So, does emotions have any genetic basis?
Yes, emotions have biological basis because arousal has biological basis. Emotions are a combination of physiology cum psychology. It is a combination of both. But anyway, before we end, sir, just to remind you what we have said so that you can use it in your life. See, sir, my only request is that please make sure that no matter how much tension producing a given information is, acceptance of a fact which exists will always provide relief at the end. So please don't hesitate to accept it. Second is, sir, our body will give us enough indications of the kinds of calling we have. For example, each one has been designed for a specific vocation. If you monitor your body's signals very effectively, it is not very difficult to know what you have been designed for. Please ensure that. third thing which I have said is, sir, please identify the emotional state of the audience before you interact with them. Because if they are, or if they have excessive presence of negative emotions, the effort should be to make them less negative before you start communicating with them on specific things. If they are overly positive, a bit of negativity has to be introduced to make sure that in the bout of optimism, what does not emerge is a mutual admiration society. That I admire you and you admire me and we do not admire our work. And what I have said last is, sir, make sure that your messages fall in the zone of acceptance of people, and that you can only do when you associate with people in a win-win relationship rather than a win-lose relationship. For example, if you go back home feeling that, well, you have been benefited in one way or the other from the interaction that you've had with the people around you, so you will continue to look for further opportunities for interaction with them. But if you feel that, well, there was not much learning that was possible, so probably you will go home as very dissatisfied individual. So with this note we finish, sir, and thank you for your immense concentration.